On Joshua chapter 3. Okay? Everybody ready? Very beginning of chapter 3. And here we go. It says, Vayash came Yehoshua Baboker. Joshua got up early in the morning. Whenever it says Vayash came, it always means they woke up early. It's not just they rose up, but it always is they rose up early. The person rose up early in the morning. So, Vayisu, and they, the Jewish people, traveled Me'ashitim, from Shittim, Evel Shittim, where they were, with where Moshe was buried, in that area. V'yavo'u ad hayarden, and they came until the Jordan. Who? The Chol ben Israel, he and all of the children of Israel. Vayalinu sham, and they remained there overnight. Terem or they encamped there. Terem ya'avaru, before they passed over. What are the questions on that verse?
Rose up early. Does that mean to pray? Isn't that normally what that reference refers to? Up early to study or pray?
Not necessarily. It means normally it means they woke up early because they were ready to do what God wanted, but it doesn't necessarily mean praying or traveling. No. But that would be one of the questions. Why do you wake up early? How far, you just came back from Israel, so how far is, you're on the wrong side though. Actually you're on the right side. They're on the wrong side. Okay. How far would it be from Shittim to the Jordan? So if you go online, you Google it, you'll find a... Sorry?
Not very far.
It's more than a stone's throw, unless you have a really good arm. It's about 10 miles, they want to say. That's approximately how far it was. So from where they were in the morning to the Jordan is going to be approximately 10 miles. Okay, so a person normally walks a mile in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a normal person's stride. Okay, so it doesn't. Now you could argue that they had to bring the camps and everything else. But the point is, it's not taking it should not take a full day to move 3 million people 10 miles. And yet, it seems that if they're encamping at the Jordan, it seems that it's taking that long. Okay? Or then you have to ask the question of why they suddenly encamp at the Jordan. Why not just cross the Jordan at that point? They're there. You're 5 steps away from home. Go home. Okay?
Oh, so we asking, why do they lodge there?
Yeah, why do they lodge there? That's another question. Why do they lodge there? Okay. And what's Vaya? It says before they crossed over. Why are they crossing over? It's another question. Why are they crossing over? You would say what? The Jordan. That's the implication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably what it is. But it doesn't say that. So this is one of the reasons that the rabbis have to ask why they cross. Says they cross over. It doesn't say Ya'avoru et Yarden. Okay, so that's one of the questions that they have to fill in. Okay?
Another question: why do they separate he and all Bnei Israel? Why not? Aren't they the same thing?
Correct. You could ask that too. Anybody have an answer for that one? Why to separate he and Bnei Israel? Why not just say, because it already said, and they came to the Jordan. It's a good question you're asking. Okay, so you should understand that. It says they came to the Jordan, he and all of Bnei Israel. Why say that? You already said they. We understood they. Everybody's included in that, right? That'll be certainly one of the questions you could ask. Anything else?
Why doesn't it say that they all arose early in the morning?
Okay, and what would the answer to that? You asked it, what would you answer to that?
Joshua was the first one up. They started waking up the rest of the people.
Oh, there's 3 million people he has to start going to. I don't think he's going to do it. Come on, Tzaddik, wake up. You do that. So,
I'm sure later on it talks about assigning 12 people.
right.
But
in general, you could answer that as Joshua is representative of the whole people.
Yes.
So if he's waking up, that means everybody's waking up. Everybody says they're allowed at the same time. But he, as the leader, has to be the first one. It would be like if when I was the rabbi in Moncton, New Brunswick. So I used to get to the shul 10 minutes before the service started. Normally, that's not a problem because nobody ever comes out early, okay? Somebody was there 15 minutes before the morning service began, and when I walked in, when I was there, he said, "It's cold! I've been waiting so long!" I said, "You never normally come." That was my response to him. I said, "And when should I be here, sir?" And know that you wouldn't be freezing out here. It was just like, "Here's cold, there's nothing." Okay? Canada's cold. Okay. But he said, "I had come 15 minutes before." I said, "You really have to talk to my driver then." I was joking with him. I said that, but I'm not coming 15 minutes, 20 minutes before because you once in a while will come. Come at 10 minutes off and you'll get in with me. Okay, so, but normally that's what people expect. They expect the rabbi or the leader to be the first one up. And he's going to then, so if he's doing that job, it could be as simple as that he's representative of everybody and everybody was waking up early because, again, they're only 10 miles away, 10 to 12, let's be extravagant, from the where they are and from where they want to go. So it makes sense that this is the day they're supposed to be crossing over or close to that, so they all want to get up. You could say that. Or you could just say that he was getting up because he wanted to make sure everything was ready. I'm not sure. But either way, you could certainly ask those questions. But it says, Vayashkim Avram Avoker, that Abraham woke up early in the morning because he wanted to get things ready before he woke anybody else up. He wanted to chop the wood for the sacrifice of the binding of Isaac. So he woke up early so he could sell his donkey, get everything ready. It could be that the leader is again waking up earlier than everybody else because he just wants to get everything ready for the trip. It could be anything like that.
And then they also learned the principle of delegation, that groups of 10s and 50s. Moses was given that so that he could administer to the children of Israel.
That's true.
So he probably used something like that.
That's true. Okay, it's good. So let's go on a little more before we start answering questions. It says, Vayhi, and it was, Miksei Shaloshet Yamim, at the end of 3 days, V'yavru Hashotrim, and the Shoters today translated as policemen. They passed over. Well, how did they translate it in the Yasco? Shotrim.
Marshals.
Marshals. Okay, fine. So, I like mine better. The policemen passed through the Kerev HaMachaneh in the midst of the camp, or marshals. What are marshals? Marshals would mean like what? Leaders?
It's similar to policemen.
Policemen? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So it's so that's what happened. So at the end of the 3 days, the Shotrim, the policemen passed through the midst of the camp. Yeah, what's the question there?
Why 3 days? Why did they wait 3 days?
Right, here they are, according to what we said. Joshua woke up early in the morning, and they went from Shittim to Jordan, and they stayed there overnight before they went over. Then next thing you hear is, at the end of 3 days, we're still there 3 days. What's going on?
Yeah.
And the Shotrim now are going in the midst of the camp. Okay, next verse. Vayitzavu et ha'am lemor, and they commanded the nation, saying, Kira'odchem, when you see at Aaron Berit Hashem Elokeichem, the ark of the covenant of Hashem your God, v'hakohanim, v'halaviyim, and the priests, the Leviim, nosim oto, carrying it, v'atem, and you, plural, tis'u mimkomchem, you will travel from your places, v'halachtem, and you will go acharav, after it. What's the problems? Major problems here, by the way. Okay, let's understand it. This should be, as much as the sparks are flying off Mr. Ornstein, this should be, everybody's sparks should be flying right now. A lot going on in this verse. This is really testing your knowledge of how they travel.
Why are the Kohen and the Levites carrying
Okay, that would be one.
The Kohanim, they are Levites, though.
Oh, okay, that's one interesting answer. Go ahead. By the way, it doesn't say the Kohanim and the Levium, Mike. It says Kohanim, the priests, the Levites. It doesn't say Veha Kohanim, Veha Levium.
Yeah.
It doesn't say and, or it doesn't say Kohanim, Veha Levium. It says Veha Kohanim and the Kohanim, Halevium, the priests. It doesn't say both. It doesn't say v. So that's why Mr. Aronstein is going to be he's saying Kohanim are Levium. Levi, the Kohanim all come from the tribe of Levi.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a break off historically because the because Aaron's children, Aaron was rewarded with the Levium in general rewarded, and then Aaron being the leader of the tribe was rewarded that his children should be the priests who have certain duties in the temple.
So then the question would be, it seems redundant, why point out that the Kohanim are Levium? That's understood, why
Both are listed.
Okay, good enough. What else?
I have a question here with, how are the 3 million people going to see the ark? And it says the marshals circulated within the camp. They ordered the people saying, when you see the ark. It's not like the marshals are signaling them because there's some kind of message being passed out. It implies that everybody's going to know that ark is moving.
Correct.
So they're marching, they're carrying the ark through the entire encampment, and as each group sees it, then they break off and start to follow it.
Could be.
Okay, what else?
Move from your place.
What else? I hear, if I had a blackboard, I would write it down, but I don't have the whiteboard with the blackboard, okay? But I hear the question. Next, what other question?
Why is there so much stressed on this ark?
Okay, what else?
Why is there so much what?
Stress.
Stressed on the ark. Why the ark?
Isn't that the way they
I'm going to ask you a question. How did Jewish camp normally travel?
with the ark and
With the ark.
No.
Well, when they see the ark moving,
Oh,
they're going to follow it anyway.
Cloud.
No.
The
Pillar.
pillar, the cloud moves.
But how do they normally move?
Each tribe is around it. Huh?
Right. Correct. Where was the ark when they would move normally?
Center.
In the center. Where's the ark now?
In the front.
Who would normally carry the ark?
The Levites.
Who's now carrying the ark?
Kohanim.
Maybe you should stop changing here, right?
That was my first question.
Okay, I understand. No, I'm just want to, again, I want everybody focused on this. I understand what you're asking. But it's, you're saying why the Kohanim and the Levites.
Mm-hmm.
What we're saying is no, it's not the Kohanim and the Levites, it's just the Kohanim.
But normally it was the Levites.
Only the Levites.
Okay.
Oh, so the verse is pointing out that even though only the Kohanim are now carrying it, they're still part of the tribe of Levi.
Right. Well, yes. The answer to that is yes. But now they're leading, and they're no longer in the middle. They're leading everything.
Oh, so they're going into the land now.
With the ark first. So why is the ark going first? Why? Normally the order would be Yehuda, Ephraim, Levium, then Reuven and Dan.
You're not walking across a vast desert anymore. You have to go through the water.
So what? If you look towards into the book of Bamidbar, so what's it called? Numbers. Thank you. So then I have to keep translating back and forth. It's very difficult.
I bet.
Then you'll see how the camps were supposed to travel at all times.
But that was in the desert.
Doesn't matter in the desert, but that's how they would travel.
Crossing the river, so it's got to be maybe they're going into more of a single file kind of thing, going across the river.
So if that's the case, I don't mind. Let it be Judah, Ephraim, Ark, but normal.
Right.
Let the ark. Why are you letting the ark go ahead? And watch what happens in the next verse. We're not through yet. Okay.
Yeah, and that also, they're exposing the ark.
Correct. So now let's see. Rachok hiya b'neichem v'nav. But there should be a distance. There will be a distance between you, plural, and between. Now it's written ubeino. Okay. The vav. If you look at the Hebrew, you have to be very careful here. It's written ubeino. We read it ubeinav. Okay. It's written so. and the difference of the two words would be, Beino is between it, Beinav is between them. Because it's plural.
Wait a minute, how do we know it's written Uveino? It's the same letter, yeah?
No, we're missing the Vav. They're missing the Yud. The second Yud. It's written, we know how it's written, we know how it's
Wait, how
said.
does it spell out how it's written?
Say it again?
How's it written?
It's written as Vav, Beit, Yud, Nun, Vav. But it's read,
Wait a minute, written. You just said written.
it's written
with.
without the second Yud.
Where's the second? Where's
The second Yud would be going between the Nun and the Vav.
Now, so wait. It's written.
Wait a minute.
If you look in the text,
There's two Yud.
there's only one Yud.
Wait. Okay, I'm looking.
There's only one Yud. Okay, it's written Beit, Yud, Nun, Vav. Period. Okay? That would mean if I would be reading without vowels, and if I wouldn't have vowels there, it would be Uveino, which means and it, singular. Okay? But we read it, if you look at how the Masoretic text is, they said Uveinav. Okay? So they put in the extra Yud, as it were. In other words, under the Nun you have a comment. Correct?
There's a comment for this.
No, forget the comment. Forget the comment. Look at the Hebrew first.
I'm still trying to visualize how you're saying.
No, just look at the Hebrew.
If it's pronounced Uveinav, it would.
That means between them.
I'm trying to visualize.
The Yud would go between the Nun and the Vav. Just look at, okay? That's how I would say it. Uveinav. That's how you're going to say it. And we say it that way, Uveinav. So it's between you plural and between it plural, which is them. Okay? Okay, now how far will you be between you and them, referring to the ark? Ka'alpayim ama b'mida. Around 2,000 amot in measure. What's an amma? 18, anywhere from 18 to 24 inches. So let's go easy and say 2 feet. 2,000, so you're looking at 4,000 feet, less than a mile, a little less than a mile away. So that's how far ahead the ark is going to be. Al tikervu elav. You, plural, should not approach it to it. Lema'an, in order, asher teidu, that you, plural again, will know at a derech, the way, asher telchuba, that you should go in it, or you should go with it. Ki lo avartem b'derech, because you will not, you did not pass in the way, mitmol shilshon, from yesterday or the day before. Okay, again, what's happening is you have to stay away from the ark, between the people and the ark, approximately 2,000 amot. You can't go close to it in order that you'll know the way that you're walking in it, because you did not pass in the way like the day yesterday or the day before. One of the questions.
Why so far?
Why so far? Next.
And then why does it matter whether they've gone that way or not? They just walk a straight line, you think, unless there's
Okay.
obstacles or something like that.
What else?
Why is there a separation period?
Good. What else?
Why, if they approach it, they're not going to know the way?
Okay. What else?
So why does it have to say, or you have not passed this way before? You know, we should know that.
That was basically something else after that. Okay. But yes. What else? Come on. I made a whole big deal of it.
So yeah, you said what you were making a deal about. I was trying to follow.
The distance.
Between you, plural, and it, plural.
Right.
Okay.
And why is it written between you? Between it is written singular. Is pronounced plural. Why is it pronounced? Why isn't it written? Why do we pronounce it like it's written? You understand what I'm asking? Okay. That's a glaring question. If it's beinav, if it's between them, plural, so what? There's only one ark. What are you talking about? How many arks are there? Okay. Understand? Okay, let's go to the beginning now. I'll have to run them together now. Okay, here we go. So it says, verse 1. Vayash came, so the Malbim. Again, the Malbim is going to say, I already explained that that Joshua sent the spies during the days of Moshe's Avelut, the mourning days for Moshe, which we would spend 30 days mourning for Moshe. Okay? And he sent them 5 days before that Hashem spoke to them. So that was on the and on the 7th of Nisan, which is a Jewish month. That's completed the mourning period for Moshe, and that's when Hashem spoke to Joshua and announced that in another 3 days that the Jews would be passing the Jordan. And on that day after, that was after it, so we're talking about the 8th of Nisan, the spies came back, and then on the 10th day, on the 9th day, Joshua woke up early in the morning. Understand the procedure here? Joshua sent the spies 5 days before. Okay? Then Hashem announced after the morning of Moshe's death, his mourning period was over. So he announced that in another 3 days you're going to be passing into Jordan. Then the spies came back. Everything's working out beautifully. And so now on the 9th of Nisan, so now he's waking up early in the morning. And so he encamps by the river. Why? In order that they would pass during the day. Because there was going to be a miracle that would be exposed to all, and it was revealed to all, and Hashem would be sanctified in the eyes of all. If they would have passed over, still 10 miles is still a decent distance to move 3 million people, regardless of what's going on. And but anybody who's gone on a trip with your kids, we all know that we say we're going to leave at 9, and really we leave 10, 11. People have to go to the bathroom. By the time you can turn an 11-hour trip into a 15-hour trip with really no effort whatsoever. So here you can imagine where they have to travel. If they would have traveled, they probably would have reached the Jordan midday or something like that, or a little, actually probably after midday. If they would have crossed 3 million people, okay, crossing the Jordan, it still takes time. They're not being carried by God at this point. They have to walk, okay? So they would probably pass through the night. And if that's the case, people wouldn't see what's about to happen, namely the Jordan going up. Okay? So it's not only for the Jews. The Jews don't need to see the miracle because the Jews trust that this is from God. But the other nations, and that's what we're talking about, the other nations have to see this miracle. Why would they have to see the miracle, by the way?
If they don't already know that God is God, then they'll know when they see this.
And basically, beware and be scared. We're coming in. This is not a normal invasion. This is for me. And I'm saying, get out of my seat. Get out of my land, and that's the end of it. These people are coming in, and you're displaced. So if they would have just come over without any miracles, it's like any other marauding army, and we'll do our best and fight. But once they see crazy things happening, we're going to describe what does happen. That means we're lost. Okay? So that's why Joshua is encamping by the river. He wants everybody to see the full miracle. Okay? That's how the Malbim is explaining. So he says in the end of the 3rd day. So now, why does it say at the end of the 3rd day? So again, the Malbim explains on the 10th of Nisan. That's the end of the 3rd day, as we explained above. That it means at the end of the 3 days. So not it's on the other 3 days. It's just the end of the 3 days that God told them. So now we're there. And it says now they are commanding the people, and they say just as like you saw, because you always normally the Aaron, what do you call the Aaron? The Ark always went after the 2 flags. And the Levium always carried it. And now you're going to see two differences. One is that the ark will travel first, and the Kohanim, who are Levium, so they really didn't leave the family as it were, but they're going to carry it. And then it won't be done as normal, because normally, again, the two flags, the two camps will go first. Nope, you're going to wait. You're going to be traveling at the end. Everybody's going to be traveling only following the ark. And it says you have to keep a distance of 2,000 amot. So the Ralbag explained that it was in order to show the way, they needed to remain a distance of 2,000 amot. Okay, now you're a little less than a mile. So if I want to if the whole camp is going to be following this Aron, if you're too close, you won't be able to follow properly. And think about this when you're driving on the highway. Okay, I'm driving on the highway. What's the rule? I have to follow the car for every 10 miles. I have to be a car length away. What happens when you're not a car length away? And let's say I'm right bumper to bumper, 6 miles an hour. What's going to probably happen if he jams on his brakes? I'm going to say hi to him. So we're going to have a nice crash. So here again, I'm not going, and on top of that, I won't be able to see everything. On the other hand, if I have somebody following, I'm keeping proper distance, I will be able to see everything that's going on. I will know what he's going to do, and I can anticipate, well, not even anticipate, I just can follow him without any problem. Okay? So here also, the Ralbag is explaining that he said that it was necessary for us to be able to see the distance we're going, and they would know how to go after, which is not the case if they were too close. Okay? And in order, that's how the Ralbag explained that according to Malbim. So then, and it's always nice that the Malbim is quoting other people what he's going through, because so why? And by the way, it's something very important to note that he could have just said this on his own, but the fact is he's quoting the previous person who said it to attribute it to that person's commentary, and because when we say something, it's plagiarism basically. It's why we shouldn't plagiarize today, okay, or anything, because you always have to attribute it to the person who said it. According to Judaism, though, when I attribute it to the person who said it, it helps to bring the Mashiach faster. Okay, so that's why when the rabbi is saying it, they will not say it on their own if it's not their own. Okay. It's their own logic. It's their own logic. But when it's somebody else saying it, or it's a Talmudic statement, they will quote it. That's why in the Talmud it will sometimes say, Rav said the name of this in 5 generations. And you're thinking, I need to know that? The answer is yes. It didn't just come from this person. It came all the way back. Tremendous tradition. So also, even though the Malbim could have said it, like I said, alone, because it makes sense what he's saying, but he's still saying the Ralbag said it. You go back to the Ralbag, that's another commentary, and see what he says. Okay. But that's why we have to many times quote people by name. Okay, then it says, in order that you will know the way, it is explained from the, I don't want to, that's talking about notes, forget that part. Okay. Here, that you didn't know the way, that you didn't travel, that you did not travel in this way from the day before, and so on and so forth. It says, it appears that the explanation is because in the time that they wanted to enter the land, in the time of Moses, it says that the ark of Hashem would travel before you a way of 3 days to look for, to tour the land, as it were, a place to rest. Okay, that's what the ark would pass in front of them, a distance of 3 days, to find a place to rest. And Rashi explained that this ark that would travel in front of them had the broken tablets in it. Remember, Moshe was on top of the mountain. He comes down. He sees the Jews worshiping or dancing around the golden calf. He breaks the tablets. Well, everybody asks, so what happened to those broken pieces? We didn't just leave them on the ground. Moshe picked them up and he put them in the ark of testimony, along with the other tablets that were there. Now, according to this, though, there were 2 arks, because this ark would go with the broken tablets ahead 3 days. Okay, so now you're getting a hint to where Beinav is over, right? Remember, plural. So it was either one ark or two. So it seems that this one was broken tablets. It wasn't finished yet, but that would be an indication that, oh, there's something else going on here. Okay, so according to the Ramban, Nachmanides, he said there was only one ark that would travel. Only it's only when they wanted to enter into the land that the ark would go 3 days journey ahead, like a strong person that goes before the camp in order to cause the enemy to tremble. So you have two things going on. One, the ark could go just to tour out the land and to find out where we should encamp, where we'll have rest. The other thing is, imagine if you see this ark going in front of you and it's scaring everybody in your distance, you know, because we all know it's God's ark. Okay? And that was the purpose of this traveling, and not to show the way, because they had at that point, in the time of Moses, they had the cloud of glory, and that would show them the way. So therefore, it was only to conquer the land. Therefore, go a 3 days distance, and therefore, the purpose of his explain the purpose of his going. Now it was to show. Now it says. Now the purpose of the going is to show the land, to show where they're going to go in Joshua's time. In other words, in Moses, there's a difference between Moses and Joshua. When Moses was alive, it had the broken tablets, and it was showing the way to go. Now that, it was and scaring people. Okay. Now the whole goal is to show them the way in Joshua's time. You understand? Okay. And not to conquer the land, like it was, like in the time of Moses. And this wondrous thing that's going to happen that you won't pass, like you did yesterday and the day before, is that if you would go to conquer it, it would necessarily have to proceed the distance that you're going with the Levium that is with it, like the day before and like yesterday and the day before. It wants to say like the day of the way of the distance of a 3-day journey. And after it would go, and then after it, the camp would follow it. Now, it's just to show it the way, so you just need not to approach too much. And that's why you have to remain the distance of 2,000 amot away. Okay? So when it's 3 days ahead, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. It's just taking over, and you have the cloud of glory who's leading the way. Okay, that's like what do you call the first part that goes out?
The scouts?
No.
Pioneer?
The
Trailblazer?
The trailblazers, okay? The ark would be like the trailblazer or Goliath. We'll go on and start scaring people, okay? So, and that was in Moses' time. That's what I would do. And it would level mountains, and so there were a lot of miracles that ark could do. And then the cloud of glory would lead them. Here on the other, but you didn't see it. It's a 3-day journey. Here it's only less than a mile away. So I'm going to see it, and I'm going to be able to follow it because my cloud of glory is no longer there, by the way. That's disappeared. Okay?
So it's called a vanguard.
A vanguard? Okay, thank you. So,
it's a difference that they're no longer in the desert, that they would, you can imagine a change in procedure.
Right.
When they land into the Eretz Israel.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a major reason for this, but you're right. Now they're going into war. It would seem that they're changing formation. But it's more, what Malbim is trying to point out, is more change of formation because of leadership. Even though God's with Joshua, that's a claim, as he was with Moshe, there's still a lessening of connection. Only Moshe had that connection with God that he could talk face to face. And Joshua's just a Navi here. He's just a prophet and a leader. But he's not the same level of Moshe. And we're seeing that with how the camps are moving, with how the ark is only no longer leading 3 days journey, Now it's only to show the way. We're going to have to fight, and we're going to see with even the drying up of the Jordan. It's going to be another problem. By the way, one thing I also want to point out is that was when we end off with verse 4. Okay, that was the end of that chapter. For as far as the Jewish count would be, that would be the end of the chapter. We're now starting a new chapter, and the reason you know that is because there's a samach after the two dots. See the samach? Okay, that would be the end of that chapter. So that's why when you would be looking when discussed in the Talmud, we never have chapter and verse, because who knows what this? It just gives you the actual verse. Okay. And when people used to discuss the issues, they would never, again, it was never the chapter and verses that they would have, so they would just talk about the subject. Or they would say in Genesis and Parshat Bereshit, Parshat Noah, whatever they want to say, but they could never do what like we do today. We say chapter 3, verse 5, because that didn't exist. Chapter 5 didn't exist, and verse 5 didn't exist. Every chapter, whatever at this point. Yeah.
When did the church first apply the chapter and verse numbering method?
Jim? Anybody for that one? It was Jerome, no?
It was after Jerome. It was there was a monk that did that. I'm thinking it's around maybe the 8th century. It was
8th century. There you go.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, but the only reason we use this is because when we got into these debates, disputations, we had to know we all had to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. Okay, so once we did that, and it stuck. It stuck so much so we have it today. But it's when you realize that this is the end of the chapter, and now Josh is speaking to people again, it makes more sense that it's a new chapter. Okay? So just keep that in mind when you see the breaks. It's either the samach or the pei that this is breaking chapter. Okay, so now we're on the next part. It says, Vayomer Yoshua el ha'am, and Joshua said to the nation, Hitkadashu, sanctify yourselves. Okay? Ki machar, because tomorrow Ya'aseh Hashem will do b'kirbachem in your plural, in your midst niflaot, wonders. Okay, what's the question? Again, Joshua said to the nation, sanctify yourselves, because tomorrow Hashem will do in your midst miracles or wonders. What's the question?
Prepare themselves how?
Okay, next.
What was that?
Prepare yourselves how?
So why does he say in your midst instead of in our midst?
Okay, good. What else?
For tomorrow he will do wonders among you. Isn't he continually doing wonders on a regular basis? Why is that different?
Wonders are wonders be considered something more miraculous than is happening right now.
Okay.
So,
more than the manna, more than.
Yeah, well, the manna is no longer coming to them, but right, more than what you're used to.
Okay.
Okay, whenever it says wonders, it means we're not used to that. Think about somebody said this to me recently. I thought it was a very interesting. I don't know how to say it in English, but ha'ara, insight. It's not the right word, but it's the people in the desert, growing up in the desert, being born in the desert, growing up. We had it 40 years. These people, they saw man coming down from earth, coming from heaven. They saw the slav. They saw the quail. They saw all this stuff, and they're living with clouds around them in air conditioning. I remember, you're in the desert, and it's beautiful for them. They're not sweating. Their clothes are growing on them. They're not wearing out their shoes. There's a lot of miracles that are going on. It's a total miraculous thing. And so now when they're going to cross the Jordan, and they actually do, and they start planting things, they say, wow, look at this miracle. I put in a seed, and a tree comes out. They're all perspective. We think it's nature, because we're used to it. They, on the other hand, thought it was miraculous, because for them, bread came from the sky. It didn't come from the ground. So think about perspective here.
Yeah.
So like I said, wonders is what I'm not used to.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's understand that when we use the word like that.
Yep.
Teva is nature, and whatever is normal to me is nature. It may not be nature. If I'm living on an elevated level, maybe what I'm used to is not nature. I don't know, but I think it's nature. Your mother feeds you. You thought that's where the food comes from. Ask any kid, where's the food come from? The refrigerator. Or the supermarket. They don't know that it has to be farmed. They don't know anything about that. Okay? They think about when you cut yourself and everything heals up. That is miraculous stuff, and we don't even think about it. We really don't think. We put a Band-Aid on, we think, okay, so it's going to heal up. We don't even think about how miraculous that is. I've tried that with my flat tires. It doesn't work.
Pull the nail out, heal me.
Not even pull the nail out, just put a Band-Aid over it. Or put a Band-Aid over the engine. It doesn't work. You know? But that's what I'm saying. So we live in a miraculous world, it's true. But we don't recognize it anymore. People flying is from here to Israel. How many do you really think about that? You get on the plane and you go. Or from here to New York, from here to wherever we're going to go. We don't think about it. It's a miracle that a thing that I can't fly, yet that thing with its tons gets up in the air. I don't know how I still don't understand why it works. You know? And that it works, I recognize, but I don't know. I'm sure that somebody could explain to me the aerodynamics. I say, very nice. I don't get it. Yeah.
Couple other questions here.
Only in this verse.
How's Joshua communicating with 3 million people? It doesn't say he's communicating through anybody else.
Right. Okay. That's a general question. Good. What else? That's a general question on the verse. What? Anything else? I'm going to ask you something. How does Joshua know that there's going to be wonders? Either you have to assume that Hashem told him. You could always say that, but that would be a cheap way out. Okay, it really is a cheap way out. So how else is he? The question that the reason I say it's a cheap way out, understand, is anything that you don't have to explain in a miraculous manner is better than when you have to we can always default to God told him. But we're always looking for the simplest explanation that will fit the verse. Okay? That's a ground rule of Torah. Always try to go for the simplest. We can always get away with God told them, but that's really, as the Gemara would say, Shkayach. It's very nice to say. Okay, go back to kindergarten. Let's figure out from the verses how it can happen. So that's the question. You're saying there's going to be miracles. How do you know or wonders? How do you know there's going to be wonders? How do you know that?
Yeah, he doesn't have the one-on-one that Moses had.
Again, even if he did, let's say, assume 1 second he did, which he doesn't. You're right, but still, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Moshe never announced. I shouldn't say never. When it came to the opening and closing of the ground on Korach, he said there's going to be a new creation. Okay, very nice. But God told him that because God said, "Get these people out of here." Fine. But here it doesn't say that. It doesn't say God announced it's going to be wonders. The question that they ask is, how does he know? Okay? As far as your question, that's, like I said, it's a general question. Since we're not going to answer it, I know ahead of time. In general, what we would say is that either God made his voice loud, which is, again, miraculous. We wouldn't go for that. But the better answer would be he talks to the leaders and says, "Get this across to the people." That would be the best. Yeah. Okay. Because to say that he's going to announce the 3 million people, even with a sound system, a Bose sound system. That's a good one. That's a Bose. Okay. Or get the Xfinity and get the big screen. It doesn't really work. Okay.
Wireless.
Wireless, right?
Yeah.
We were the first one with wireless. Okay. So Joshua said to the Kohanim, saying, Su'u et Aaron habrit, carry the ark of the covenant, the Ivru lifnei ha'am, and pass through before the camp. Vayis'u et Aaron Abrit, and they carried the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, Vayelchu L'Bnei Ha'am, and they went before the nation. And again, that's the end of that chapter, by the way. Okay? There's another something. That's the end of that chapter.
So it's basically a 2-verse chapter.
Correct.
Okay.
Again, I'm trying to just make that clear to you. It's a new chapter. So what will be the questions on that one?
I have a big question.
Go ahead.
This reference to the ark
Yeah.
is continuously singular. But yet we had that situation with the between
Between it,
verse
right.
4. How does Rashi come up with 2 arks?
You cheated. You look at Rashi. You're asking on Rashi. Okay. We'll come to that. But I want on the verse.
Okay.
Actually, you should have answered yourself. It's I can answer for you. He's saying 2 arks because it says Beinav. We read it as Beinav.
Okay.
Between them. He said, first, he gives 2 responses, by the way. One, he says, really, it's talking about, like Beino. It's just going, in ours, he's saying it's symmetry of the language, the symmetry of the verse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have to say, since it says between you, plural, so it would make sense to say between it, plural. That's just symmetry. Okay? And it gives you some proof text for that. Okay? And it says Yismach Yisrael ba'osav, that Israel will rejoice in its actions. And so then it says another thing you could answer is that really there are 2 arks. One is of the divine presence, and the other one is of Yosef, who was going with him. Yosef's ark was the ark that they brought out from the Nile or from the catacombs, wherever they got it. And that's walking with him because they have to ultimately be buried. Okay? So that would be the 2 arks that are leading. Why Yosef's ark and what anybody else's? Because we know about Yosef's ark. Okay. But that would be why he says, because it's Uvenav. He's saying, why is it plural? That's why it's plural. Because you have really 2 arks. Not, and by the way, he's saying, not 2 arks as in the ark with the broken tablets versus the ark with the full tablets. It wasn't such a thing, he's saying. And he's answering a lot of questions with those short answers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So, what's the question on that, on the verse 6? Again, Joshua said to the Kohanim, saying, carry the ark of the covenant and pass it before the nation, and take care of the ark of the covenant, and they went before the nation. Any questions there?
It's implying that they're not already at the head of the people. And it looked earlier like they were in front. It says advance to the head of the people.
Okay. What else? Anything else? Okay, let me finish this up because it's already late. So again, with the Malbim, he says, verse 5, Joshua said, sanctify yourself. Because from what Joshua saw, that today the camp, the Kohanim would carry the ark, he knew that there must be, that there's going to be wonders. Again, it's logic. If God is changing the order, it should have been Levium carrying the ark. The fact is, God told the Kohanim to carry it. It must be, based upon that there's going to be wonders. Doesn't mean God told them. It's just logic. God drew the senses like, oh, watch today, we're going to see something you never saw before. Okay, that's how the Malbim's reading that. Like the rabbis say in 3 places. Here's the rabbis, not Joshua knowing this. In 3 places, the Kohanim carried the ark, namely when they crossed the Jordan, when they surrounded Jericho, and in the future, when Shlomo would be building the temple, and they would when they would return the ark to its place, to the Holy of Holies in the time of Shlomo. In all these 3 places, revealed miracles were done, namely the falling of the walls of Jericho, the returning of the fire that came down from heaven in the days of Solomon. So Joshua said, these miracles will be, and so Joshua thought that these miracles would be done on behalf of the Jews. That's why he said that it will be done for you. Wonders will be done for you. That's your question, not for us. He thought that it was the miracles that were about to happen were all because of the merit of the Jewish people. And he didn't include it. As a leader, he does include himself in that. Okay, I'm a leader. Like all good Jewish leaders, they were very humble. And we're not just going to, if I would say us, that's including me, so it could be me. No, I don't want the merit. I don't want to say I'm arrogant. So it's all on your behalf. It's all you. Unlike the president says, you didn't build that. He said, Joshua was saying, you did build that. Okay? It's not, I didn't do it. It wasn't anything else. It wasn't government. You did it. Okay? That's what he's saying. And therefore, he commanded them to sanctify themselves in order that they could prepare to do the wonders in the merit, in their merit and through their power. And Hashem informed him that the miracles, the wonders will be done in through Joshua, and because of Joshua, and through the Aron HaBrit, through the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant. So now Joshua says to the Kohanim, when did he say this? On the 10th of Nisan. Okay, so the other day, remember, we were on the 9th before. Now we're on the 10th. It says on the 10th, lift up. He commanded the Kohanim and not the Leviim that they should carry the ark and that they should pass before the nation. So that's what he's doing. Everything was preparatory. Now he's saying on the 10th. He's actually on the day. It's not now the Leviim step away from the ark. And now, Kohanim, take your rightful place. You're going to carry it, and you're going to go across. And they do. Yeah.
Question: How is Joshua getting his information anyway? If he's not speaking directly with God like Moses did, how is Joshua getting the information?
Well, no, because Hashem would speak to Joshua, but it wasn't in the same closeness. It wasn't the same closeness, but there certainly was communication, as we said before. God said to Joshua. So we're assuming that he's not speaking through Pinchas and the Urim V'Tumim. We're assuming that's not happening, because it says, before we said that even though he's not the same level as Moshe, still Hashem is having this relationship so that people will follow him like Moshe. When it comes to the war and everything else, then he will have to ask the Urim V'Tumim. He'll have to go through Congress, as it were. Congress is, using those terms. He will have to get permission. But when it comes to anything else, and all future leaders also would have to go through the Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol with the Urim V'Tumim to say, will we win? Will we not win? Should we do this? Shouldn't we do this? It was a one-question answer. The Kohen had to watch the lights, put them together. That was Ruach HaKodesh already. So he had to do all that. So, but we're assuming right now that Hashem, some way, is communicating with Joshua, and Joshua's getting this information, but it's not a continual thing. He told him in 3 days you're going to go, so get everything ready. Now it's up to Joshua to pull this together. And that's why Joshua will at times, and we'll see this when he loses to Ai, the battle of Ai, then he is talking to his angel. He doesn't even recognize the angel. Who are you? Are you with us, or are you against us? Sort of question. And we'll see as we go on, but it's not the same. It's certainly not the same level of communication, but there's communication there. Okay.